Patee, you've been through different crises before. How would you describe this present flood crisis affecting Nokair? You've been through the tsunami crisis,
yes.
the fuel price crisis, the red shirt demonstrations last year, and also the shutdown of the Suvarnabhumi airport.
Right. Well, this crisis is a little bit different from many other crises that we've been through. The fact that it is a natural disaster crisis, we call it, because it's actually happening at the center, where we actually have our headquarters. So with the water everywhere in the, as a lake at the airport now, so it is a major disaster because we have to move our airport to Suvarnabhumi to operate there, for at least 2 months.
Describe to us how frantic you were, or how hectic were your staff, during the evacuation, because the water tides at that time were rising rapidly, and you've been ordered to evacuate on the 25th of October.
Yes, a day after my birthday.
Yeah.
What happened was, what we always anticipated was that it was a possibility that we have to move our aircraft away, evacuate somewhat from Don Mueang, even if there was a little hint of water actually touching anywhere near the inside of the airport itself. But what happened was, we were actually looking at the water in Patee Rangsit to see how far it was actually going to rise, and it wasn't going that far. So as long as the water was going down the Patee Rangsit and people were able to travel into the airport, we thought, okay, we'll keep it as long as possible. But what we did not see was the fact that the water came in from the other side, because it was a place that normally the water never crosses the line. So nobody anticipated that particular part of the airport being inundated at all.
Which part, you mean?
The north part.
In the northern part.
Northern part, whereby it came in from the where the hangars were. So, but anyway, one of my team went there to inspect, and suddenly we saw water flowing in. And we said to ourselves, hey, this doesn't look good. So in fact, we actually left before we were ordered to evacuate. We said that let's evacuate ourselves from the area for a few days and to see what would it be like. So we ordered ourselves away on the 25th at 12 o'clock. We announced that we're going to leave Don Mueang Airport to Utapao to actually sit and wait and see the situation for a few days.
How did you handle the crisis management?
We planned it before. We planned it before. We planned everything before it happened, that this was going to be the procedure. What we didn't plan, though, was the fact,
even though it was a kind of a shock to you, but then you were able to handle the situation.
We handled the situation going to Utapao, but what we didn't handle the situation was that it's going to be a long-term situation. We did not plan it to be a month long or anything that far. So what happened was then the water risen in such a way that it is currently a lake now. So we had to decide what we're going to do next, because we have over 20,000 passengers waiting to fly with us. So the only way is to operate in Suvarnabhumi Airport, and within 24 hours after it was shut down, we decided to get it operable as soon as possible, and we were able to do that. So it was quite a planning to get things done. Yeah.
So you had to squeeze for space in the Suvarnabhumi Airport.
Yes, we had to squeeze for space. We had to set up the counters, electronics, all the system, everything, the OP, the operation, the captains, everyone in place in order to make it operational, which was a very difficult task.
How about your temporary office? Where is it?
A temporary office at Suvarnabhumi Airport on the 6th floor. It was just an open counter. We put tables down and said that is our meeting room. We have our head office in Sarasin Road, but during the crisis, I prefer to be in the situation to see and to understand what's going on.
How about your staff? How are they going through this? Because from my understanding, they also have houses over there near the Don Mueang Airport.
Well, many of the houses were inundated, I mean, underwater. So what we had to do was we actually have to open hotels for these people. We spend about 10 million baht a month in order to accommodate these guys so that they can work around the airport to make it easy for them. But what happened with that is the fact that they're in areas whereby the water started rising in different places. So we have to keep moving them across to safe areas all the time as well. So it's very difficult.
So overall, how do the floods affecting your operation?
Quite heavily, actually. The reason
do you have to cut back your services and
yes,
also your destinations?
Of course, we have to cut our services down by half. The reason is because we don't even have a parking space at the airport on the first 2 or 3 days at all. We have to park the planes outside. There's no parking space in the ground. So the planes were all delayed. We have to use the pushbacks, all the equipments were underwater, so we have to buy somebody else's service while this is happening. And what happens is that these guys are full anyways. So basically with our secondary, service people, so what they do is that we're a bit delays. The first few days is tremendously heavy with the 5 hours and everyone was just complaining, shouting and everything. Oh, it was crazy. But now everything is back in place. Everything is now coming back to normal stage. And we were able to sort of rescue some of the equipments in order to operate ourselves as well. So things are much better now.
How about the destinations?
Our destinations, we try to open up as much as we could. We have accomplished in terms of most of them are operating now, but less frequency.
Are you something like 80 to 90% of your normal operation now?
We're about 80% now. 80% now.
When do you think that you can resume normal operations?
Well, we have a planning tomorrow in Suvarnabhumi Airport to get the rest of everything accommodated. We're still getting our buses away from the Don Mueang Airport in order to bring it back to use right now. Once all that happens, I think we can probably operate 100% at Suvarnabhumi Airport. But what we're hoping for is still difficult, by the way, waiting for next 2 months when we go back to Don Mueang, and then everything will be back to normal.